Shalom and good day, brothers and sisters. Coming up here to give you more information or testimonies of Yahuwah's timeline. For as you see, he has revealed the mysteries unto his prophets, unto his mouthpiece, as confirmed in the King James 1611 Bible, as well as in other sacred books, such as Jubilees, the work of Josephus, first, second, and third Enoch, and many other sacred writings that the Ethiopian Bible holds or can be found that the heathens removed. Okay, so when you do your studies, you will learn that the Roman Catholics removed some books, not Roman Catholics. I think it started in the age of Constantine when you do your research. And then you see how the Roman Catholics set up their Bible, as well as how the Protestants set up their Bible as well. Because in the King James 6:11, it does talks about the Protestant and how they removed the Apocrypha from the Bible. But as always, Yahuwah give us a witness and let us know what books were ordained for the masses to read. And that witness that he left unto us was the King James 611 Bible, mentioning the other books, as well as the Bible of the Ethiopians. Okay, so what you see before you is a picture of what we're going to talk about today. We are going to discuss the 70 generation prophecy because this is a part of our Father's timeline for those who are keeping a record of his calendar and of his timeline, for these two things go hand in hand. Okay, we will be reading from the book of Enoch, chapters 10 through 11. This video cover comes from this gentleman here. He too did a lesson on this. I have not watched his video, but you can find it on YouTube. It's by Ken Johnson, and he discussed the book of Enoch, 70 generations, in parentheses, birth of Christ. That's what he has, birth of Christ. If you want to check out his video, I have not, but I'm only sharing his video cover for educational purposes only. For this is to edify the I'm trying to think of what it's called correctly. The two wave loads of the Shavuot offering, known as the Pentecost offerings. These are the first fruits of the wheat harvest that is made into bread with leaven, salt, olive oil, etc. When you study those holy ingredients and what they represent. And these are the first fruits that will be presented unto Yahuwah, okay, when the wheat harvest take place, that many know as the Exodus or the takening, known in the Greek tongue, paralabano. Also unto the Christians, sorry about that, unto the Christians, they know it as the rapture, okay? So many people have, different wording for this harvest, but it's very important that you go back and look at the parables of what the Messiah is saying, especially with the fig tree, for those who are watching and praying as the Messiah instructed us, okay? Because we will know when summer is nigh. And the reason why he gave us that parable with the summer is nigh, it is to give you understanding when the wheat harvest will take place. For that parable represents the two wave loaves, which is us, which is there's four remnant groups. And the four remnant groups are the bride of the Messiah. And we know the bride and Messiah are made up of Israelites and Gentiles. Or you can say Jews and Christians. Or you can say Hebrews or Greeks. Okay. It's also made up of males and females, the circumcised and uncircumcised, the bond and free, etc. Those who come in covenant with Yahusha HaMashiach or of his bride. Also, we have the 144,000 Israelites who also are in covenant with Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay, for they have a special assignment with the Messiah that you can read about in Revelations chapter 7, Revelations chapter 14 and 15. And for those who want to learn more about them, you can read it in the Northern Kingdom book known as the Sealed Book of Mormon. Now, I'm not talking about the Book of Mormon. There's another book known as the Sealed Book of Mormon. And within that book is the Sealed Book of Moses. Yes, Moses wrote some other sacred books that was preserved and carried over here to Osiris, known as another land. My people call it the Turner Island. Today they known as the Americas. Okay, because those books was preserved from the 70 AD destruction in the time of King Josiah. Okay, you can read more about that history when you read our books or the books of the Northern Kingdom. Okay, so then we're going to be discussing how the saints shall also play a role in the 70 generation prophecy. And I'm talking about a particular biblical event that's going to take place when this prophecy comes into its fullness. So when the 70 generation prophecy comes to its fullness, then you would come, then following after that is another significant biblical event that would take place with the saints. Okay. The next picture I want to share with you is that we are going to talk about not jubilees, excuse my tongue, but we are going to talk about Jude chapter 1 verse 6, because I am aware that we have some brothers and sisters who have not read the book of Enoch, first, second, and third, or whereas other sacred books. But I do want to show you we do have a witness in the King James 1611 Bible. Okay. There is a witness that talks about what we're going to talk about today when we're looking at the falling angels. Okay. So we're gonna read Jude chapter 1, verse 6. All right. Now, it is so important now while the Father is revealing his timeline unto us, brothers and sisters. It is so important that we understand his calendar, because if you don't understand our Father's timeline, meaning that if you don't understand the way he keeps time and you don't understand his calendar, you're going to misunderstand the biblical prophecies. You're going to measure up his prophecies under the heathen standards. And we know the heathen standards is not correct because they do not keep the commandments of Yah, nor do they follow his ways. So you cannot use a Roman Gregorian calendar to understand his biblical prophecies. And the prophets will back me up. Remember, the prophets are his mouthpiece and they are his friends. And Yahuwah only shows the mysteries unto his prophets. We can also see that with Apostle Paul, because he had the gift of prophecy upon him. So when you look at Apostle Paul's writings unto the different assemblies, you would see a lot of mysteries was revealed unto him. Just like the Messiah, he had the gift of prophecy. When you go back and read the gospel and you begin to understand the parables and the examples, you too will see that he had the mysteries that were revealed unto him. Again, if you have a question, go to his prophets. And I'm stressing this because I see many assemblies, I see many people speaking, claiming this, claiming that, but no one is looking at the standard of the Bible. No one is looking at that the Father has given us prophets of old, as well as the Father has given us prophets of today, as well as he has given us evangelists. He has given us apostles, pastors, and teachers. And when you have the fivefold ministry working together, you will see the bigger picture and get the correct interpretation of his scriptures. I'm saying this because I see no spirit among them. Okay. I don't see the spirit of Yah upon them. Therefore, they do not bear the nine fruits of the Holy Spirit. I'm speaking this unto you, brothers and sisters, because many people are being led by them because of their knowledge. Yeah, they have knowledge, but what do the living words say? Knowledge puff it up. They don't come in one of the fruits of the Spirit. Love, which is charity. Read First Corinthians, I believe, chapter 13. It's either First Corinthians chapter 13 along with Romans chapter 13. But it's the chapter that deals with talking about charity. Some people know it as the agape love. I mean, it's known as the agape, which is the Greek word for love, because that's what charity is. Okay, I'm stressing this unto you because I see some great ones. When I say great one, they have knowledge, but they don't have the knowledge of that comes from heaven. Okay, and they have the gift of the tongue or the gift of gab. They speak very well. Okay, they are filled with a lot of knowledge. But I'm telling y'all, I'm one of y'all. They have no spirit of Yah upon them. Okay, well, just as that. So we are to watch and pray, because when we know his summons nigh, because some are going hand with the wheat harvest, for the wheat needs the heat of the sun to dry out so it can be ready for harvest. But that's the same with us. We have to go through our trials and tribulations in order to graduate, to become like the wheat, to be mature, or to be graduated, going from the milk to the meat now, meaning that you are graduating from the earthly things and you are coming into the heavenly things or the spiritual things. Okay. And you are allowing the potter to shape you and mold you. Okay. And your heart is no longer hardened, but your heart is aligned with Yahuwah. On the channel, it talks about Psalms 51. Definitely want to watch that, because then you understand what the heart is. And I'm not talking about that beating flesh that's in your chest. I'm not talking about your brain, but I'm talking about what's in the belly, which is the heart, the center of Adam. So now let's get into this. Let me get this out the way, for I will be sharing some copyright materials with you. And I want to give you the title of this word. Then we go into some scriptures. All right. Upcoming words that will be coming forth. So now we're going to the 70 generation prophecy. So we can now take this off the list. But upcoming words will be, we're going to look at another mystery of Genesis 15, some more things the Father is revealing unto us. And we will be talking about the 10,000 star prophecy as well. Okay, so those are upcoming words to look forward from. Also, in your spare time, check out the mystery of the Ark of Noah and the mystery of the flood. Yes, he always give us an example in Torah to Help us to understand that he does have a way of escape for those who believe in that way of escape, because unfortunately we have a lot of false ones teaching otherwise. They teaching another gospel. So the title of this word today is the 70 generation prophecy and saints judging the angel. Okay, this is a part of Yahuwah's timeline. The 70 generation prophecy and the saints judging the angels. Okay, so let's first start it off with some scriptures before we go into the writing of First Enoch, because I know some people are leery of that because you have not been taught that it's okay to read. Okay. But as you walk in the whole volume of the King James 1611, it will confirm unto you that Enoch writings is a part of the Holy Bible. So we're going to Jude chapter 1 of the King James 1611. I'm going to read the chapter summary unto you, for it says this: He exhorteth them to be constant in the profession of the faith. What is the profession of the faith? It is dealing with you believing in the gospel. Therefore, because you believe in the gospel, which is that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It is coming, y'all. It is nigh. It is near, according to Yahuwah's timeline. Okay? And you believe all what the prophets of old say, as well as you believe in what Yahusha HaMashiach says, and you also believe in what the apostles says, such as Peter, Paul, and the others. Okay? False teachers are crept in to seduce them, for whose damnable doctrine and manners horrible punishment is prepared. So, to you false teachers who are teaching another gospel, who are not following Yahushua HaMashiach instructions, telling especially the awakened Israelites on what they should be doing, such as telling them to flee, okay? You know who you are. This chapter is warning you, for you are not following the instructions of the Messiah. If you do not know what the instruction of the Messiah is, you need to reread the gospel. He gives very clear instructions. And so if no one is preaching the gospel that the kingdom of heaven is coming and telling you what you must do to be in the kingdom of heaven, if they're not preaching that, they are false. Let us keep going. Whereas the godly, by the assistance of the Holy Spirit and prayers to Yahuwah, may persevere and grow in grace and keep themselves and recover others out of the snares of those deceivers. When you get a chance, you definitely want to read this chapter in your spare time. So the verse we're going to read is, And the angels were kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation. He have reserved in everlasting change under the darkness unto the judgment of the great day. You want to underline that because now you're going to understand why you have to read Enoch writings to understand what happened in the beginning in Genesis. Okay? And then why we have the giants in the earth in Genesis, and why you see the giants again in the book of Numbers. Even the seal book of Noah, not Noah, of Moses, and the Northern Kingdom book will reveal it. So another word for angels can be principalities. Proof of that, how they are principalities, You can read the book of Daniel, chapter 8. Remember, and going back to Torah, chapter 4. The other nations was given over to the angels to be their rulers. But Yashael belonged to Yahuwah. He is our king and ruler. Okay? And those who join themselves to the covenant of Israel will come under that rulership and king. But to the other nations who did not come under that covenant, I'm talking about the old as well as the new, okay? The other nations who did not come under that was under the kingship and rulership of the angels. The book of Jubilees will confirm what I'm saying, as well as Romans chapter 13, Deuteronomy chapter 4, even with the Torah saying how Israel is the apple of his eye and he is under and they is under him. You can see that throughout the scriptures. Okay. To get more understanding. Even the Apocrypha will give you understanding. Ben Sirah. And I think that's in Ben Sirah chapter 17. Okay. So as we see in verse 6, we see that the angels did not stay in that first estate. In other words, they didn't stay in the office that the Father gave unto them. They didn't keep the assignment. They didn't do his will. So they sinned and transgressed against the Father and began mixing themselves with the children of Adam. Okay. And therefore, that's how the giants got into the earth. Okay. So when you begin to study these sacred books, you will learn why the giants, when they died, where their spirit went to. They couldn't ascend into the heavens because they was partly of the earth. Okay. Therefore, he had to send when Noah prayed because their spirits was vexing the son of man or the son of Adam. Noah had to go and intercede unto Yah about them. They had to remain, their spirits had to remain in the earth. Okay. And when Noah interceded about them, the Father had the majority of them bound, and Satan was giving 1/3 of them because he asked for 1/3 of them to do his bidding. This is why when you see the movies, this is where you get the word poltergeist. That's them terrorizing mankind and in the bidding of Satan. Like I said, it's a lot of things that the Father wants you to know, but because of fear or because of the lies of man, which comes from Satan, because, that's how all this stuff got started, listening to Satan. You are walking in ignorance and not understanding who your enemy is and what you're dealing with. Therefore, you cannot know how to fight them because you can't fight them by your hand. They're spirits, they're principalities. This is why the Father is telling me to tell you, you have to know thy enemy. And when you know thy enemy, you know how to tap into the sacred power that had always been there, but had to be revived under the new covenant that Yahusha HaMashiach established for us. Because once you know who you are, then you know how to fight them. Not by your hand, but by his spirit. Okay? So those angels that Enoch writes about, he said that they are reserved in everlasting change under darkness until the date, until the great day come, the judgment of the great day. So highlight that scripture. That's part of the timeline. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take you to the timeline first. And then we're going to read Enoch's writings to give us understanding about the 70 generation. And then after that, we'll talk about the saints. Okay. So in your timeline records, you should have the 70 generation prophecy listed so you can see how that fall according to Yahuwah's timeline. Very important when we're looking at the judgment of those angels, of those principalities. Okay. For those who are watching this video the first time and have not seen the other parts, I do recommend that you go watch the other parts because for those who are keeping a record, and that reminds me, thank you, Father, those who are keeping a record of the timeline, we are seeing how we don't have much time, such as we have those, such as the beta, such as Beta Israel. Okay, they are keeping a record of time, and then we have Brother Hashur, who's keeping a record of time. And then we have the Jewish. Now, the Jewish is not really accurate because what you're going to learn about them, because they don't believe in the Messiah, this is why they don't have the correct time. Okay. But I like to compare their numbers to what we have. Okay. Because you're going to learn that Beta Israel means house of Israel, which are the Israelites. All right. Now, the Beta Israel formula can be found in Wikipedia under time and season. That's where you will find them. Okay. That's where you'll find that formula. And also with this formula, it gives you the Egyptian time and how it's converted to the Hebrew time. Hebrew is another word for Israelites because our forefathers are Hebrews. Hold on. Such as Abraham, because Abraham came from Eber. So this is why you see the word of the Most High also calling Israelites Hebrews. Okay. Hold on, y'all. I'm back. And you can see also, let me see, I believe that is a Gregorian day year. So you can see how you can convert from the Gregorian to the Egyptian and to the Hebrew, as well as the Jewish. Yeah, you can see how you can convert to the Jewish. So you have, 4 different types of dates you can compare to. Okay. So in this earth, oh, so I got this from Wikipedia. Sorry, y'all. And the title of the document of Wikipedia is, I don't want to show. It's dealing with Beta Israel. Okay. Beta Israel. So in this chart, you see a conversion taking place. We have the Gregorian year, which is AD, or also known as Common Era, CE. We have the Adamic year, based on Beta Israel calculations. We have the Jewish year. We have Brother Hashur year. And then you have the calculations that I have so far. Okay, when we compare. So when we look at the Roman year known as the Common Era year, or AD, hopefully y'all that did a trick. You'll see we are in the year of 2024 going to 2025 because our father time overlaps in the heathens' years. Okay, when you look at Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, looking at the three lights that form one calendar. We have the sun, we have the moon, and we have Mazarah. The 12 signs, which known as the zodiac signs unto the Gentiles. So in this year, when we convert that Gregorian date into Beta Israel date, they get 7,096 years from Adam. When we convert it to the Jewish date, they get 5,785. Then when you get to Brother Hashur date, he would have 7,524. And then when you get to the calculation that I have thus far, we have 7,492. So when you look at the Israelites' record keeping, such as Beta Israel, Brother Hashur, and myself, you will see that we all agree that we are in the 7,000 year period. So that should tell you something. Okay? Father always give us 2 or 3 witnesses of these things. Okay? And how I got Brother Hashur information, I went to his website. So to let you know I didn't make anything up and I didn't mistranslate any of his numbers, okay? That I'm aware of. So to understand the 70 generation prophecy, we need to read first Enoch. And we're going to read chapter 10 as well as 11 together. Then said the Most High, the great and holy one, Uriel, go to the son of Lamech. So Uriel is an angel who went to the son of Lamech, which is Noah. Verse 2, say to him, go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide yourself and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and the flood is about to come on the whole earth, and will destroy everything on it. Verse 3, and now instruct him as to what he must do to escape, that his offspring may be preserved for all generations of the world. As I'm reading this, in verse 3, what is our way of escape, Israelites and Gentiles, who are in the new covenant that our blessed Savior made for us? What is our way of escape? For the first way lobe, which is the bride of the Messiah, and the 144,000 Israelites, we shall go to paradise. That is the wilderness of heaven. For the second way lobe, that is made up of the house of Israel and the kingdom of Judah, okay? They shall go in the wilderness in the earth, for they have to be sanctified and they have to be brought into that same covenant that we are in. Remember, they have always rejected Yahusha HaMashiach, his spirit, which is the spirit of Yah. So they too will be in the bond of that covenant as well. And once they are in the bond of that covenant, then they will come out of the wilderness and go into the Holy Land, the land of Israel. And they would dwell in a city that is without walls, and they would be protected by the cloud by day and the fire by night. Okay? This is what the Messiah said unto us in Luke, I believe it's chapter 21, verse 36. Let me pull it up for you. I don't like the NIV. I like the King James. So let me type this in here. Luke chapter 21, verse 36. It say, watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Adam, which is the Son of Man. Okay? He does have a way of escape for us, but it's given according to your faith. So if you believe otherwise, those who are not a part of the two wave loaves of the Shavuot offering, known as the Pentecost offering, will have to face the beast, Revelation 12. But they did not graduate from their trials and tribulations. Okay? Therefore, they have to go through another trial and tribulation to graduate. All right. So the Messiah do have a way of escape for us. Just as in the days of Noah, there was a way of escape prepared for Noah. Verse 4. And again, Yahuwah said to Raphael, bind Azael. Don't that name sound familiar in Torah, y'all? On the channel, or even in some of the video descriptions, the Father revealed the mystery of the Feast of Tabernacle. And when you learn about Azael through his prophet Enoch, he is one of the most wicked angels there is. So when you read Torah, you begin to understand the covenant that was made, and you begin to understand why the priest had to cleanse himself from meeting with an evil angel. And then you begin to understand why this name you see is mentioned in Torah. So our Father said unto his angel Raphael, he said, bind Azael hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and split open the desert, which is in Deut, and cast him in. Notice here, this verse is aligning up what we read in the book of Jude. Did he not say that those angels will be bound or kept in darkness? Do y'all see that? Let us continue to read. And cast him. Okay. Do y'all not see that? Verse 5. And fill the hole by covering him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness. Do y'all see that? It's still lining up with what we read in Jude chapter 1, verse 6. And let him live there forever. Do y'all hear that? So he's still alive, but he's bound. He's buried. in darkness. So it said, let him live there forever and cover his face that he may not see the light. And on the day of the great judgment, he shall be hurled into the fire. So this verse here is reminding me of Revelations chapter 20, how the small and the great shall be judged, and they shall be cast into the eternal lake of fire. So for your homework, read Revelations 20. Okay. Which aligns with Enoch 10-week prophecy. Okay. For Enoch 10-week prophecy, sorry about that. Let's go to our timeline. For in week 10, we see that in the seventh part, the great eternal judgment, vengement amongst the angels. First heaven depart and pass, new heaven, sevenfold light shall come. So we see that this great eternal judgment take place in week 10 of Enoch 10-week prophecy, which falls in the creation day of 9,500 to, wait a minute, I'm sorry, which fall in the Adamic day or Adam day of 9,500 to 10,500. Okay, fall in that time period. So when you read this verse here, we read verse 6, how the Father said on the great judgment he shall be hurled into the fire. So this is when we look at these scriptures, it's giving us a biblical date, a timeline event when this angel, this wicked angel, shall be removed from his place of captivity or prison or pit, okay, because he is buried and he is covered in darkness, okay. On that great judgment day, he shall be hurled into the fire. And what is that fire? It's the eternal lake of fire that the Father has assigned, or that the Father has for these wicked angels. Okay, verse 7. So we get understanding what judgment day is it talking about. We're talking about the great judgment when our Father shall judge all. Okay. Verse 7. And heal the earth which the angels have ruined. So now we begin to understand why this earth is in the shape that it's in. For my uncle and his descendants are ruling, and they have went in covenant with Satan. That's why you have the dragon being read in Revelation 12. So they're taking their orders and their instructions from Satan and those angels that has joined to Satan. And when you read Psalms 83, you also see the other nations have went in covenant or has joined Edom too. So this is why now we see why the earth is in the condition that it's in. Okay, because history will repeat itself. That's what we're seeing. Verse 7, and heal the earth with which the angels have ruined, and proclaim the healing of the earth. For I will restore the earth and heal the plague, that now all of the children of Adam may perish through all the secret things that the watcher has disclosed and have taught their sons. So if you want to learn what was the things that the angels had taught unto the son of Adams, including their daughters, you definitely need to read Enoch. So once you learn those things that we have learned from the angels, then you begin to understand what is holy unto Yah and what is not. Those are the things you don't want to partake in. Okay? So I'm going to read this again. That not all of the children of Adam may perish through all these secret things. So this is about saving your life so you can have life. He don't want you to perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught unto their sons, which is the children of Adam. He don't want you to perish. He wants you to have life. Okay, let us go on to read. Verse 8. The whole earth has been corrupted through the words that was taught by Azael. To him ascribe all sin. Do y'all hear that? This is how wicked Azael is. He is so wicked that all sin occurred because of him, of what he taught unto the children of Adam. That's where it comes from. Okay. Father's telling me now you begin to understand, O sons and daughter of Adam, why he has grace and mercy upon you. For what we was up against, we had no chance. We had no fair chance. This is why he's telling you to come in now. He did not make hell for you. He made hell for these angels. Okay. But if you want to continue to listen to these wicked ones, then you will join them. For we know that it is written that once the great judgment day come, then shall Sheol, which is hell, shall be cast into the lake, into the eternal lake of fire, which is the second death. Okay. So verse 9, to Gabriel said Yahuwah, and he's speaking to Gabriel now, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication and the children of the watchers. Do y'all hear that? He's talking to Gabriel. We know about Gabriel, right? He's mentioned, I think, in Daniel's chapter 12. Okay. So he's telling him to what? To come against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication and the children of the watchers. Cause them to go against one another, that they may destroy each other in battle, shorten their days. Do you see how the Father does? He always have a way of getting rid of the wicked. He would set the wicked against the wicked, and they would take each other out. And this is not the only time he has done this. When you begin to read the books of the Northern Kingdom, Fathers remind me of the prophetic word that he had me to prophesy. Baal shall be confounded. Baal is confounded. Verse 10, no request that the watchers, their fathers, make of you shall be granted them on their behalf. This is what he's saying unto Gabriel. So the watchers can make no requests. They cannot intercede, okay, for their children. Okay. For they hope to live an eternal life, and that each one of them will live 500 years. Underline that. So we see 500 again. Just like we see when the Messiah came to establish the new covenant and to set the captives free from Sheol, he came in the 5,500 year of Adam. We also see that Adam was in the Garden of Eden, known as paradise. Okay. He was in the Garden of Eden for 5.5 hours of Yah time. 5.5 hours of Yah time. So this is why I say underline that, because we see this again. So the fathers let us know that these children, okay, they shall only live 500 years. If I'm reading this correctly, he said, no request that their fathers make of you shall be granted them on their behalf. So he's saying that the fathers, which are what? The watchers, no request shall be granted. So when they come to Gabriel, he cannot grant them no requests. For they hope to live an eternal life, and that each of them will live 500 years. Okay. Verse 11. And Yahuwah said to Michael, and I may have got the angels mixed up in Daniel 12, but forgive me, y'all. But okay, that's still going to read. If I did get it wrong, forgive me. And Yahuwah said to Michael, go bind Simjazet and his team who have associated with women and have defiled themselves in all their uncleanness. So those set of angels are bound. Okay? Michael. Verse 12. When their sons have slain one another. Do you see how the Father worked? He's going to have their sons to slay each other. And they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones. What is that destruction? Talking about the flood. Very important. So these wicked angels, when they have seen the destructions of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations under the hills of the earth until the day of the consummation of their judgment and until the eternal judgment is accomplished. So now we got a biblical date, a biblical event that would go into the timeline, which is verse 12. Notice here, this is what the Father is saying about the wicked angels. Okay? When their sons have slain one another, and in addition to that, they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones. Okay, it's talking about the flood. Bind them fast for 70 generations under the hills of the earth until the day of the consummation of their judgment and until the eternal judgment is accomplished. Okay? We're going to pause there because now we can get into the part of the saints. For the saints are the most holiest of Yah. They are his beloved, okay? And they are the one who shall live in his house. Again, when you understand the structure of the tent tabernacle in the days of Moshe and the structure of the temple in the days of Solomon, then you're going to understand the blessing and the inheritance of the saints and of Israel, Yashrael. For the saints can go in the Holy of Holies to represent they shall live in the new Jerusalem. They shall live in that holy place, the Holy of Holies, for they shall be near him. They can be in his presence. Then outside of the new Jerusalem is the sanctuary. That is to represent how the Israelites, the 12 tribes, will be given their lands back, and they shall live around, they shall live around the new Jerusalem, the city. Read Ezekiel chapter 40 to 48. Again, he gave the answers unto his prophets. So now we shall go to the part about the saints, who are the Father's beloved. Okay? Because the apostles reveal something deep, especially Apostle Paul, y'all. He reveals a lot of deep things. Okay? And one of the things we can find about the saints, what their role shall be in the kingdom of heaven. I'm going to read unto you 1 Corinthians chapter 6. It says that the Corinthians must not vex their brethren and go into law with them, especially under infidels. The unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah. Our bodies are the members of Messiah and temples of the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh. They must not therefore be defiled. So now, if you understand, so going from in the days of Moses, as you see, it transitioned from the tent tabernacle going to more of a building or a physical structure in the Holy Land. Okay, then it Now it has transitioned to us being our Father's house, our Father's temple, because we are the ark or the vessel that holds or that house the Spirit of Yah. And the Spirit of Yah is the Spirit of Yahusha HaMashiach. So we have the living word living in us, for we are in covenant, we are married, we are bind to, or we are joined to that living word, which is that holy seed. Okay. So now we're going to read, starting at verse 1 and read down to verse 4. Dare any of you having a matter against another go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? So what he's saying that when we have a matter against one another, we should be able to go before the saints, not to the judges of the heathens, okay? Not to the courts. For the Father has given us his government, which is what? The Bible, the Holy Word. So we, being the saints of Yah, do you hear me, O bride, and more than 44,000 Israelites? We are the saints of Yah. We are the most holies of Yah. Therefore, we should be able to judge the matter between one another and not go to the heathen's court. Okay? So we are to go to the covenant, which is his law, which is the Bible. All right? It gives us instructions. Verse 2. Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? So to the bride and the Messiah and to the 144,000, we are the saints. So as you see in the kingdom to come, we shall judge the world. This is why the Messiah often says in the book of Revelation, we too shall have crowns and hold what? The I want to say it right. The palms in our hand. And the palm is to represent the palm tree, because palm tree is upright, means that we are perfected and we are in the righteousness of Yah. Okay? So we stand upright with Yah, meaning that we stand in truth, we don't stand in lies, and we have worshiped the Father in spirit and truth in the covenant that our blessed Messiah made for us. Okay? So we being the saints, we shall judge the world. Okay? We shall reign with the Messiah. All right? Remember the millennium period. Okay? Verse going to say, and if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matter? So we being the saints, we should be able to judge these matters without having to go to the heathen's courts. Okay. Father is also reminding me of what he said, what the Messiah said to the 12 disciples, that they should be sitting on thrones with him, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. That's in the gospel. So they set the example of what the saints shall inherit too. Okay. Verse 3. Know ye not that we shall judge angels? That's the part you want to underline. So we're going to judge these wicked angels or what they did. This is what Paul's revealing unto us, O bride of the Messiah, and 144,000 Israelites that first way low. So we shall judge the angels. Verse going to say how much more things that pertain to this life. So as you see, we're going to be given a great responsibility in the kingdom of heaven that comes. Okay. Let us go back and read First Enoch chapter 10. So as you see, when that great judgment day come, we're going to be there along with the Son and the Father judging. Verse 13. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire and to the torment and and to the torment and the prison in which they shall be confined forever. So I know that's going to Revelation 20, y'all. We got to go there. We got to go there. Father's telling me to. Revelations 20. We got to know about this timeline when these things going to happen. This is why the Messiah told us to watch and pray, because we're going to know these sacred things. We're going to be on our God. We're going to have our house in order. We ain't going to be caught off guard, because you know the Messiah going to come like a thief in the night. So we're going to be ready. Revelations chapter 20, Satan bound for 1,000 years, the first resurrection. That first resurrection is dealing with the saints and the 144, because they're going to reign with the Messiah. Those who are the cream, or those who pass the trials and tribulations. Okay, so we're going to reign with the Messiah. They bless that have part therein. Satan let loose again, God and may God. The devil cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, the last and general resurrection. So what we're going to do, we're going to skip down, but I do recommend you read the whole chapter. So I'm going to start at verse 10. So when this happened with the devil, know what comes afterwards. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. So this is eternal. This is the eternal judgment. Verse 11. So in addition to that, notice what comes after that. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. So this is talking about Yahuwah. Okay? First, his son had to come to prepare the way. So after his son does his part, then our Father in heaven, Abba, is coming. So this is what this verse is talking about. Abba, our Father. Okay? Verse 12, and I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Yahuwah. So this is getting to that great judgment. Let me read this again. And I saw the dead, small and great, that stand before Yahuwah. And the books were open. Yes, he keep records. And another book will open, which is the book of life. Because we know what the book of life is. Those who are in his kingdom and those who are not. And the dead was judged out of those things which was written in the books according to their works. This is why I tell y'all, your inheritance and whether you are going to be in the kingdom of heaven is determined on your heart, your faith, and your works. Okay? So as you see, those who resurrect in the second resurrection will see what their judgment would be, whether they would be in the kingdom of heaven or whether they would be in the eternal lake of fire. Okay? Do y'all see this now? This is the great judgment day. There is a witness of this judgment day in the playlist dealing with the rapture doctrine. Okay? You definitely want to hear his testimony of what he saw in this great judgment day. Okay? And this is dealing with the second resurrection. And the sea gave up the dead which was in it, and the death and hell deliver up the dead which was in them. Do y'all notice that? So the dead that was in the sea resurrect. The dead that was in death and hell resurrect. And they will judge every man according to their works. Do y'all see this? In verse 13. The sea gave up the dead which was in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which was in them. And they was judged every man according to their works. So even those who went to hell got to be judged. Did y'all see this? All dead who did not resurrect in the first resurrection will resurrect in the second resurrection, and they have to be judged. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. So this is where we're going to see those angels being cast in this part. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. So if your name's not in that book of life, you are cast into the lake of fire, which is the eternal lake of fire. This is dealing with eternity. So when we go back to first Enoch chapter 10, now we see what 13 is talking about. It's talking about Revelations chapter 20, verse 10 down to 15. Okay? So you can have something to read by as your timeline mark. So in those days, they shall be led off to the abyss of fire, and in addition to that, to the torment and the prison in which they shall be confined forever. Okay? Then Simjazez shall be burnt up with the condemned, and they will be destroyed, having been bound together with them to the end of all generations. Verse 15, destroy all the spirits of lust. Do y'all hear that? Destroy all the spirits of lust and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Did I see? The Father's confirming what he had me to say. They did wrong unto us. We didn't have a fair chance. But how the Father leveled the playing field, he redeemed us, he revived us through his Son. Underline that. I got to read that again. He said, destroy all the spirits of lust. So that's what I'm telling y'all. We're dealing with spiritual things. That's confirmed in the letter to the Ephesians. So destroy all the spirits of lust and the children of the watchers. Remember, these are the one that was part of spirit and part of earth, part flesh, part spirit, the giants, as well as the other children they created with the other creations of Yah. So he said, destroy all the spirits of lust and the children of the watchers, because the Father's reminding me about the marine kingdom. Because they have wronged mankind. So he's telling you why they being judged. Because they have wronged the children of Adam. Verse 16, destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the earth be planted with righteousness, the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it shall prove a blessing. The work of righteousness and truth shall be planted in truth and joy forevermore. What is this reminding you? It's talking about what the Messiah is going to do. Did not Enoch 10-week prophecy tell us that soon we shall be entering in the 8th week? And in the 8th week, which 8 was the number of new beginning, in the 8th week, we have a week of righteousness and sword executed on oppressors. And we're going to have David tabernacle or David house being reestablished in the earth. And the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords are going to sit upon the throne of David, for he is a descendant of David. And that king is Yahusha HaMashiach, the Messiah. And all mankind is going to sort out Mount Zion, or want to go to Mount Zion to learn our Father's ways and to keep his laws, to keep his commandments. And that's as written or prophesied by the prophet Micah in chapter 4. Okay. Verse 17. Then shall all the righteous survive and shall live until they beget thousands of children. Y'all hear that? They shall beget thousands of children, and all the days of their youth and their old age shall they complete in peace. So there ain't gonna be no wicked messing with them. Okay? Again, read Ezekiel chapter 40 to 48. Then you begin to understand these things. And then shall the whole earth be until in righteousness, and shall be planted with trees and be full of blessing. And all desirable trees shall be planted on it, and they shall plant vines on it. And the vine which they shall plant, remember the Father said they're no longer going to be in war. They're going to take their swords and make it into plow. Do y'all know that verse that I'm talking about? Let me see, can I find it? Plowshares. Forgive me, y'all. Let me see, can I find it? As I'm looking for, I'm going to read the next verse. And the vine which the plant shall give fruit in abundance. And as for all the seed which is sown, each measurement of it shall bear 1,000. Do you see how the earth is going to produce overabundantly? It's not going to be as hard as before. And each measurement of olives shall yield 10 presses of oil. That's a lot of oil, y'all. Each olive, think about it, shall bring forth 10 presses of oil. That's a lot. I'm just pulling up the verse of what we're looking for. Still having some. I'm trying to think. It's going to come. Anyway, man, let's keep going. I'm going to find that verse. All right. In verse 20, you shall cleanse the earth from all oppressors. Do y'all hear that? Underline that. That goes with Enoch 10-week prophecy in week 8. You shall cleanse the earth from all oppression and from all unrighteousness and from all sin and from all godlessness and all the unclean that is brought on the earth. You shall destroy from off the earth. All the children of men shall become righteous, and all nations shall offer adoration and shall praise me. And all shall worship me, and the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement. Do y'all hear that? They're going to worship our Father. They're going to give him honor and glory. Israel and all the nations. Hallelujah. And the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment. And I will never again send another flood from this generation to all generation and forever. And we see that in Genesis chapter 9. He said he's not going to send a flood. He's keeping his word. That's why we see the rainbow. That covenant has not ended. This is why Paul called them covenant breakers, whether you are Israelites or Gentiles. Romans chapter 1. Chapter 11. And in those days I will open the storehouse of blessings in heaven and rain down blessings on the earth and over the work and the labor of the children of Adam. Truth and peace, underline that, truth and peace shall be united throughout all the days of the world and throughout all the generation of men. So no longer will lies be here. No longer will chaos be here. Truth and peace will stand. Okay. Now let me see, can I find that verse? I'm getting close, y'all. Okay, here it go. Isaiah chapter 2, verse 4. Well, Isaiah chapter 2, verse 4. He shall judge between the nations and shall decide for many peoples, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Because the learning of war came from the angels, y'all. So do you see how everything's lining up? That was Isaiah chapter 2, verse 4. I guess I want, you know what? Father's telling me, let me go to the book Isaiah chapter 2, because that's deep too. There's some things he wants us to know about when we're dealing with First Enoch chapter 10 and 11, Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah. And we're going to chapter 2 in the King James 1611 Bible. We're going to read the chapter summary first. For the chapter summary says this: Isaiah prophesied the coming of Messiah's kingdom. Definitely, you want to read that chapter. Isaiah prophesied the coming of Messiah's kingdom. Wickedness is the cause of Yah's forsaking. Wickedness is the cause of Yah's forsaking. He exhorteth to fear because of the powerful effects of Yah's or Yahuwah majesty. Verse 1. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Let me say this again. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saw, or Amos, saw what he saw concerning Yahudah and Jerusalem. Verse 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days. Underline that. So this is with the last days, that the mountain of Yahuwah's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. Y'all, this is another witness. Go along with Micah 4. All nations shall come unto it, right? And many people shall go and say, Come ye, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of the the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. This is future prophecy. I know some people are having a hard time understanding about the law. Okay? But if you understand this, Yahushua Mashiach is the law, and he will give you understanding of our Father's laws, his statutes, his judgments, and commandments. So I want to make this clear. The Ten Commandments are not put away, for they sit upon the two greatest law. The law that we should love our Father with everything we got, with mind, body, soul, strength, and spirit, and that we should love thy neighbors thyself. For all the law and the prophets are based on these two greatest commandments. Read Matthew chapter 22. Okay? I know some people are not understanding, but there's many videos on the channel that will help you understand what I'm saying. It's just that I don't want to be long-winded in this video because we're focusing on the 70th generation prophecy. So our new schoolmaster, which is Yahusha HaMashiach, will give you understanding of our Father's laws, statutes, judgment, and commandments in their new covenant that he made for us. And he will give you understanding of these biblical prophecies. Okay? So no longer shall the heathen laws be upon us and oppress us. We now shall be able to worship the Father and keep his laws, statute, judgment, and commandments. Verse 4, and he shall judge among the nations, okay, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Okay, I think about what fishing, right? Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. O house of Jacob, O house of Yaakov, come ye and let us walk in the light of Yahuwah. And that light of Yahuwah is what? Yahusha HaMashiach, that living word, that holy seed that he planted us in the beginning, that holy seed that he planted in Adam. Okay. So now that we have finished first Enoch chapter 10 and chapter 11, now we're going back to Yahuwah's timeline so we get understanding about the seventh generation. So according to what we learned, looking at verse, let me go back up. We'll read that again so you can get the exact timeline where this should occur for the 70 generations. He said in verse 12, when their sons have slain one another and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast. So when they have seen their sons die, when they have seen the flood that come upon the earth, he said they would be bind quickly for 70 generations under the hills of the earth until the day of consummation of their judgment and until the eternal judgment is accomplished. Okay. So when they day of judgment come, that is when the 70th generation has came. Okay. They can be bound for 70 generations. Generation of what? Generation of mankind. So when I go to the timeline, um, I know 70 will fall somewhere, 70 generations will fall somewhere in week 10, or it could be at the end of week 9. Okay. And what got me looking at this was when I was looking at the genealogy dealing with the Messiah when he came in the earth in Matthew chapter 1, verse 17. So, because when you add the total number of generations, for example, we know the Messiah is 42nd when we look at Matthew chapter 1, verse 17. Okay. Because there's 3 sets of 14 generations. So 14 times 3 is 42. So when he came, he was the 42nd head. Now, I'm also aware there was other generation before the Messiah came that was not included in the genealogy of Matthew chapter 1. So if we add 20 to 42, we would get a total of 62. But the word of the Most High says that these angels' judgment will not come until 70 generation is past. And when we look at the biblical events that takes place in week 8 and week 9, we get the understanding that's not the great judgment day, far as when all will be judged. Okay. The great judgment day or the great eternal judgment day is the day when our fathers come and judge all that we read in in Revelation chapter 20. Okay. And we see that is the day when he shall judge small and great who are in the second resurrection. Okay. So this is why I have 70 either falling in week 10 or it could be at the end of week 9. Okay. Because notice here in week 10, and I do need to change probably 70 to here, because it says that in the seventh part of week 10, that's when the great eternal judgment shall occur. And in that judgment, you're going to have vengement amongst the angels. So this is where the judgment of the angels shall take place. So this is how I know that the 70 generation will fall somewhere either at the ending of week 9, but it definitely is from where it looks in week 10. So once the 70 generation come, because remember what we read in First Enoch chapter 10, it is written that those who are in the earth shall have peace, and they shall live a long time, and they shall beget thousands of children. That's in verse 17. Okay. So until those children are born, all right, then the eternal judgment can take place of all. So this is why I have 70 on Yahuwah's timeline falling under week 10. Okay. So therefore, I know I need to meditate and get with y'all to get the exact format of how this is going to fall out. Now, I do know I have the three set of the 14 generation in the correct time period, because we do know the Messiah comes in the far as when he is 33 and a half, and when he is crucified and resurrected, we all know that's going to take place in the 5,500 year. Okay. So I am aware that he's the 42nd head. Okay. Because what I thought was interesting, I noticed that when we start from Isaac, okay, because Isaac is the 21st head of that generation, and Abraham is the 20th head of that generation, okay, of the 20th generation. I noticed that the 14, generation is going to begin with Isaac being number one. And I thought how it was so interesting that he had 14 generations to occur quickly in the time from Abraham to David to the time when they go into the Babylonian captivity to the time when they come out of the Babylonian captivity. You see like a speed up of the generations. And we will show you this part so you can see in the timeline what I'm talking about. So in day 5 from Adam, we see that the 14th generation falls in the time when of David, King David. So he's the 14th head of that generation. And that falls in day 5 of Adam. So when we go to day 6 of Adam, we see how the 14 increase quickly, and that second set of 14 takes place in day 6 of Adam, okay, which is, as far as day of Yah, which is day 11 of Yah, all right. So then the third set of 14 also take place in day 6, because that's when the Messiah would come in day 6, just as the first Adam was created in day 6 of Yah's day. The second Adam would come in day 6 of Adam's time. I just think how the numbers are amazing, how it correlate to symbolize that he is the second Adam. So therefore, we become like the second Adam, because he's the first of his kind. We become like the second Adam when we go in covenant with him. So we are born again. So we are born in the spirit, and we are born of the spirit and of the water. Okay. So we are a new creature. We're no longer like the first Adam who failed. Okay. We're now like the second Adam. So that's what I noticed, that there was a speed up generations from day 6 to from day 5 to day 6 of Adam right here. So that's why I feel like um, the 7th generation doesn't start in the beginning of Adam, because when we look at the word and the clues, the Father tells these wicked angels they're not going to be bound until they see their sons, how they kill one another, and then also how they see the great flood, and then sometime after the flood, between week 2 and week 3, they would be bound. Okay. So the beginning of the first generation starts with in week 3. Okay. And I believe it starts with Isaac when we look at Matthew chapter 1, verse 17. So, this I will be meditating on and getting the, correct format. But I do know that it has to happen sometime between week 2 and week 3 and after the flood. Okay. For those who's keeping y'all's timeline. So I do know that generation count starts sometime after that time period. And that the 70 generation will fall in somewhere between week 9 and week 10. Because then in week 10, that's when we have the great judgment all against all. Everybody going to be judged by our Father, Abba, and the angels going to be judged by him. So take this time now to pause your screen, to look at that, to compare, okay? To compare. And Father's telling me maybe go a little bit more higher so you can see what his time is like. Because like I said, he's way above us. He higher than us. So a day unto him is like 1,000 years. So therefore, that time will feel shorter unto him. But unto our scale, it seems like a lot. Okay? So take this time to pause your screen to look at that. Okay? All right. I hope y'all enjoy this beautiful message about the 70 generation prophecy, where we see how it lines up to Enoch 10-week prophecy. And we see that it does start somewhere after the flood, okay, when these angels are bound. And it aligns up with the generation that is mentioned in Matthew chapter 1, verse 17. Okay? Because if we start with the first Adam, we're going to be way over. All right? When we do the math. So now we're seeing how everything's lining up in our Father's timeline. And by knowing this information, it helps us to be ready to be on God for the escape that would come and that would be provided by our Father in heaven. Just like instruction was given unto Noah, the same instructions are given unto us through his son, Yahusha HaMashiach. So go back and read that gospel. Look at those parables, like with the king's feast, with the 10 virgins. With the 10 virgins. Also, look at everything that the Messiah said, because he does have a way of escape for us. Also, look at the Apocrypha, certain miracles and things going to take place with the Northern Kingdom. He's going to open up waters again. Okay? So it's a lot of things being revealed, but we have to take our time and put all the pieces of the puzzles together. And if you ever get confused on something, fathers, just tell me this. Go back and read the gospel. See what the Messiah say. And see if you follow his instructions. And once you understand that, then you understand the Apocrypha. Then you understand Paul's writings. You see? Then you understand Torah and as well as the other prophets of old. Because he gave us many examples, such as Noah's Ark, the Exodus, the Sodom and Gomorrah. He provided a way of escape for the righteous. Look at what our father Abraham asked him. So we have many examples, many testimonies give us confirmation about a way of escape being provided by our Father. All right, my brothers and sisters, continue to preach. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. It is at hand. Make sure the people receive the gospel as written and follow the instruction of how one to come in covenant. Okay? And Father want me to say this to correct. What is the gospel? The gospel is that we are to preach that the kingdom of heaven is nigh. It is at hand. And we are to show them the way of how they will come into the kingdom. So they first have to go in covenant with Messiah, the new covenant or renewed covenant. And how one does that, you follow the instructions in Romans chapter 10. You partake in the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism. And if you have no one to baptize you, you can baptize yourself. This is where you exercise your faith with words. For the water, the heavens, and the earth is a witness unto Yah, and they can testify on your behalf of you coming into the covenant, into the marriage that our Messiah established with us. For we are his bride, and he is our bridegroom. Okay? And the same is with the Holy Spirit baptism. All you have to do is ask in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, and our Father will give it unto you according to your heart, faith, and words. That's why he had this written in the gospel. If you ask, it shall be given. If you seek, ye shall find. If you knock, the door shall be open to you. Love you all, and shalom.